From A&D, this is Biography This Week. For August 8th, 1998, Biography This Week with Karen Stone.
This week, millions of children and their parents lost an exceptional entertainer who was also a remarkable woman. 65-year-old Shari Lewis died last Sunday from complications caused by cancer of the uterus. She was a ventriloquist, puppeteer, and all-around talent who had devoted half a century to delighting children. Her father was a magician, her mother a musician, and Shari was both. Her first break was winning a competition on Arthur Godfrey's Talent Scouts, but Shari's breakthrough came when she transformed a fuzzy sock into her most famous character, the lovable Lamb Chop. She never claimed to be an educator, but taught generations of children about love, sharing, and honesty. She was also a passionate advocate of quality children's television, even convincing Lamb Chop to testify before Congress. When she wasn't entertaining kids, Shari sang and danced in Las Vegas, conducted symphony orchestras, and acted on Broadway. In recent years, she returned to her roots with the popular children's program Lamb Chop's Play Along. It earned her 5 more Emmy Awards, bringing her lifetime total to an even dozen. So as generations of Americans mourn the loss of one of their closest childhood friends, Shari Lewis is our biography this week.
Oh, there you are. Hello there. I'm Lamb Chop, and I am the star of A&E's Biography. Well, Shari and I are the star of A&E's Biography. Well, actually, Shari is the star of A&E's Biography, but I'll be there. Will you?
Once upon a time, there was a woman who never stopped believing in the importance of children.
Hi!
Shari is a great comedian. She not only can deliver comedy well, but she enjoys comedy.
She's smart, she talks to kids. But the truth about Shari is she's one of the best actors I've ever worked with in my life.
She never made mistakes. She would memorize everything. It was a real treat. It was magic.
Not bad, if I do say so myself.
Do you know how long you have been performing on television?
A long time.
Yes. And this year, we are celebrating the fact that Lamb Chop has been performing on television for 35 years.
35 years. That's a long time in the life of a 6-year-old.
Shari's story goes back a little farther. She was born in the mid-30s to Abraham Hurwitz and Ann Ritz Hurwitz and raised in the Parkchester Projects in the East Bronx. Her mother was a music coordinator for the New York Public Schools. Her father, professor of education at prestigious Yeshiva University. But the Hurwitz teacher's pet was their daughter. Though money was tight, the Hurwitz home never wanted for anything, especially company. Doc Hurwitz also helped young people, especially boys on the edge of delinquency. His theory, which was then revolutionary, was that people learn more when they're being entertained. An ethic Shari never forgot.
So Daddy learned his magic in order to seduce children to do math and chemistry. He would teach them math magic, chemistry magic. If somebody studied, he would give them puppets. And he developed, way ahead of his time, the concept that if kids are having fun, they're learning better.
Education through entertainment was only one of the many ideals handed down to Shari and to her sister Barbara, who was born 9 years later.
It was a very focused living. There was a lot of training. There was a lot of studying. There was a lot of practicing. There was never any hanging around.
We used to say, I'm an only child, and if you don't believe me, you can ask my sister. Because my sister is 9 years younger than I. So I had those formative 9 years as an only child with a very vigorous mother and father.
By the time Shari hit her teens, she was a neighborhood showbiz veteran, sometimes with Barbara.
We both played many instruments. In fact, my first job was working for Shari, playing the piano for 50 cents a song when I was 8 years old.
Shari attended camp every summer, and there she made friendships that would last a lifetime.
I met my first boyfriend, whose name was Saul Turtletaub, and I was 13, and Saul was the first boy who ever kissed me. He kissed me on the swings.
We met at a summer camp, and we saw each other, every day in the dining room. She would come to the dining room, and I would come to the dining room. Then she would go back to the girls' camp, and I would go back to the boys' camp, and I said, "Oh, what a good date that was."
And I didn't see him then because he lived in New Jersey, and I lived in the Bronx. And that's really a terrible schlep.
You know what? We between the summers, we didn't keep in touch because we just would occasionally write a note, because I lived in terrible guilt because she lived in the Bronx and I lived in New Jersey, and I was too young to drive, and I wasn't going to take 2 buses and 14 subways and have my passport renewed to go visit her every once in a while.
Shari's dream was to be accepted by New York's Music and Art High School, later made famous as the setting for the movie Fame.
I had a teacher in junior high school whose name was Etta Morris. And she came to me one day and she said, "You're a wonderful musician and a terrible pianist." She said, "You'll never get into music and art, and you belong in music and art." She said, "If you'll bring a bag lunch, every day I'll give you a piano lesson." Mama had been my teacher. Mother was a wonderful teacher. I was a resistant student. It's not Mama's fault, I know that, because if I resist, I resist. So Etta came in, and every day she gave me a piano lesson, and I got into music and art.
Meanwhile, Shari added a new skill to her repertoire.
One day, Daddy walked by a closet, and he heard my sister yelling to be let out of the closet. And he opened the door, and my sister wasn't in the closet. Well, I had thrown my voice, and he thought this was wonderful.
Shari's father got her a ventriloquist dummy by doing a favor for one of his students.
And he helped many of them. And many of them were very poor and were very grateful to him. So they would give Dad gifts. One of them was an owl, which slept in my bedroom. And another was a very fragile man who was supporting an ailing mother. And Dad taught him a magic act. And he had no money. So as a gift, he gave Dad a Mahoney puppet, and that, in fact, was Shari's first puppet.
Shari and her wooden puppet performed for variety shows, community centers, and local clubs. In the midst of it all, she wed businessman Stan Lewis. The teenage marriage was brief, but from it, Shari Hurwitz became Shari Lewis.
By then, I had a big boy dummy named Samson who was my agent and smoked a cigar. And that's what I did on the Arthur Godfrey Talent Scout program. Daddy was my talent scout.
She won Talent Scouts, and with the acclaim came an offer for a local TV series called Facts and Fun.
It's a fact that my name is Shari Lewis, and that if you'll spend the next 15 minutes with me, I'll show you how facts can be fun, and that's a fact. So, I want to be a friend of yours.
I was program director of the local television station owned by NBC. And I had a spot to fill in on Sunday for a children's show. And Shari was brought in to see me by a friend who was the manager of Sid Caesar at the time. And she was magical. She was just extraordinary. She looked beautiful. She still does. Her hair was red. It still is. And I was enchanted.
Hey, hiya, Taffy. Well, hello, Taff. How are you?
Fine, I like it here, too.
Well, what would you do every year?
You kidding? We have some candy cotton and a toy balloon on a sunny, sunny afternoon.
The puppet that was used was me, because I really fell in love with her and decided that she had a great possibility. She'd never done television before, and this was the first show that would have broken that experience.
She also became the toast of New York. Her stardom was confirmed when she got a network booking on Captain Kangaroo. But before she appeared, the producers suggested she find herself a less wooden partner. She did, and began knitting a classic friendship.
As friends and fans mourn the loss of an all-around entertainer, Biography this week remembers Shari Lewis. As generations of Americans mourn the loss of one of their closest childhood friends, Shari Lewis is our biography this week.
I'll see you soon, maybe in June.
Shariland was an hour of the most incredible sort in that Shari never left the camera. She was on camera for 1 solid hour.
Now I'm going to press over here, and you'll see, you'll breathe right. How well? Uh-huh. Out goes the bad air, in goes the good air. Out goes the bad air, in goes the good air. Out goes the bad air, out goes the bad air, out goes the bad air, Charlie, in goes the good air.
I developed a style for her. So that within the style, Lamb Chop would smile or would make some move, and I would see that it would be funny. I would see it in my mind's eye. And then I would write for that little move that she had, or that little smile, or that funny face that it would make, or I would repeat something, and until it became a style of talk. And Shari would hear that, and Shari would do that, and we would do it all until it became the two of us were one person doing the same characters. We made it all up as we went along.
That's me.
Ho, ho, what a day to go walking. Don't you agree? Ho.
When Shariland won 2 Emmys, NBC offered Shari and Lan Oken a daily series called Hi Mom.
Would we do it? And we said, sure we do it, but we don't want to lose Shariland. So the two of us did 6 hours of television a week ourselves.
And it was really tough because I'm very nearsighted, a little bit cockeyed. I mean, I can't see anything. And so I had to memorize 10, 12 songs a week, 36 pages of script a week, 12 commercials a day, and do that for 6 days a week.
She'd run on the air and do the show, get off, we'd talk about the next day, she'd go home, begin memorizing songs, I would write the next day, and so it would go over and over again.
You really have no time to do any prep. You get filled in, and then you go on and you shoot from the hip.
Meanwhile, Shari met Jeremy Tarcher, a young TV executive on his way to becoming one of the country's leading publishers.
Shari was, at that time, quite an important star in New York City, and I had a relatively minor, a totally minor job at another New York television station, and I think I felt myself a little bit outclassed. So I invited her out for a drink and thought, well, if the drink goes well, I'll invite her out for dinner. And at the end of the first drink, I said, let's go out to dinner. And at that point, I learned something about Shari. She does not leave time open because she said, oh, I have a dinner date. And I thought to myself, oh dear, I certainly have planned this badly. So I said, I'd like to come with you. And astonishingly, she said, fine.
In 1958, Shari Lewis and Jeremy Tarcher were married. In 1962, their daughter, Mallory, was born. From the start, her parents wisely prevented jealousy between their Mallory and Lamb Chop.
People always used to ask me if I was jealous of Lamb Chop. Now, as far as I'm concerned, Lamb Chop's a sock. I'm not jealous of my mother's footwear either. I never had a problem with that. Lamb Chop is the perfect little sister. She works and earns a ton of money. She lives in a shoebox. She gets no attention, and she stands to inherit nothing. Now, who could want a sibling better than that?
There was something special in the woolen stocking puppets that touched the hearts of viewers everywhere.
Lamb Chop's my little sister, which is pretty funny considering she's 6 years older than I am. It's puppet logic. In puppet years, she's younger than I am. You know, unlike dog years, which is 1 for 7, I think puppet years is 7 for 1 or something. But no, she speaks her mind. She's a little brat.
What is dark brown, sweet, and dangerous?
I give up. What is dark brown, sweet, and dangerous?
Shark-infested chocolate pudding.
Lamb Chop is a person. Lamb Chop sits there and she has discussions with you. And you can talk to Lamb Chop about anything. And she always has a response.
Pete and Repeat went down to the river in a boat. Pete fell out. Who was left?
Repeat.
I'd be delighted to. Pete and Repeat went down to the river in a boat. Pete fell out. Who was left?
Repeat.
We always thought of Lamb Chop as being Shari as she would like to have been as a child.
Pete and Repeat went down to the river in a boat. Pete fell out. Who was left?
Repeat.
Lamb Chop is a princess. Lamb Chop wants to go to the mall and shop, and she wants to be a bit of a brat sometimes.
Pete and Repeat went down to the river in a boat. Who was left?
Repeat. I can't take it.
Well, Charlie also was always the brash, kind of streetsy kind of a guy who was always out to try to get as much as he could. He could finagle.
I bet you that you can't name 10 animals from Africa.
I can.
No, I was talking to them. Can you name...
I can.
Lamb Chop, please. Can you name 10 animals from...
I can, and I will.
Okay, good. Name 10 animals from Africa.
There's 9 elephants and a giraffe.
Oh, boy.
It would be easy to identify Lamb Chop, Charlie Horse, and Hush Puppy as simple sub-personalities of Shari's. But they are, in fact, constructed personalities.
Why did the hen lay an egg?
I give up. Why did the hen lay an egg?
Because if she dropped it, it would have broke.
Hush Puppy is the real middle child. He makes peace between the older and the younger. He is less secure than the others, plays by himself. He's a classic middle child. Lamb Chop is a classic third child, spoiled, indulgent. Charlie Horse is very much the older sibling. Charlie Horse is very much like me. I have to watch myself with Charlie Horse because he wants what he wants, and he is very self-centered and self-focused.
The height of their early popularity came with The Shari Lewis Show, which debuted in 1960. Taped in color, black and white transfers are now all that remain of this classic 137-episode series.
On my nose there is a bump. On my head there is a lump. I've a thing in my eye. Oh my, I could die.
The Shari Lewis Show in 1960 to 63 was a musical comedy starring Lamb Chop, Charlie Horse, Hush Puppy and What's Her Name. And it was written by Saul Turteltaub and Lan Oken, and the music was by Lanny. Our guest stars were so wonderful. We had Margaret Hamilton as Lamb Chop's babysitter. She was the Wicked Witch in The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, well, what have we here?
Dame de Louise came, and Lamb Chop talked him into pretending that he was her and getting into a baby carriage. And it's one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen.
Mommy. Yes, Pippo. I want a drink of water. So go get it. Go get it. I'm only one buck. So get a small glass.
Fred Gwynn from the Munsters played Lamb Chop's doctor.
Come on now, you ready?
Yes, testing. Ready?
Here we go.
Here we go.
Ready?
Ready?
What is it? What is it? What is it?
That's very cold.
Oh, of course, I'm sorry.
That's all right. No, I want to blow in it.
Lamb chop, please.
Lamb chop.
I'm sure it's warm enough, right?
Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Here we go. The series was a showcase for Shari's talent and won a Peabody Award. But awards held little interest for network bean counters. In the early 60s, money-conscious networks began replacing live-action children's shows with cheaper cartoons. Shari Lewis suddenly found herself canceled. Shari may have been out of work, but characteristically, she was not out of hope.
As friends and fans mourn the loss of an all-around entertainer, Biography this week remembers Shari Lewis. As generations of Americans mourn the loss of one of their closest childhood friends, Shari Lewis is our biography this week.
Patty Chayefsky said, "If you are going to have an enduring career, you have to be ready to go out of fashion a lot, because nothing is consistent." And what happened was I replaced and pushed off the air Howdy Doody, and cartoons, namely chipmunks, replaced me and pushed me off the air.
In the early 60s, children's television changed. Shari was only one of its victims. The others were the children themselves.
I remember writing some of the early scripts for Howdy Doody, which was on every day on the NBC network, and that was 5 days a week. And then they decided that children's programs were not being very commercially suitable, and they replaced them with talk shows and things of that, and consigned them to the weekends. And then they reversed their fields, and now cartoons are all over the schedule, Monday through Friday, Saturday and Sunday.
I think the networks quickly discovered that particularly the preschool audience was not a commercial audience. Preschoolers did not buy products, and they were not yet skilled at nagging their parents to buy products. And so, over time, the preschool audience was abandoned.
Denied a regular TV venue, Shari was forced to direct her talent to other areas.
Las Vegas was a great experience. It lasted 10 years. I played the Sahara in Vegas regularly, opening for Jack Benny, Ed Ames, Donald O'Connor, and that was as much as 2 months a year. And then I would play Tahoe, Reno, all the other gambling casinos. And it was wonderful because the stagecraft in the gambling casinos is superb.
You know, if she were doing Vegas, the 10 o'clock show in Las Vegas, then we'd sit down and write stuff that we wouldn't certainly do at 8 o'clock in the morning. But if they had her in Vegas, you know, at an early show so parents could bring their kids, it would be basically the same thing.
TV TV guest appearances kept her before the public. Most often, she played herself, whether on a classic Jack Benny program or on variety shows.
Shari had to reinvent herself again and again in order to stay alive in the entertainment business. Again and again, the shifts in the entertainment industry's taste made it necessary for Shari to find new ways to stay alive.
She did pilots, game shows, and with Jeremy, wrote a classic Star Trek episode, The Lights of Zatar, in which an energy force inhabits the body of Lieutenant Mira Romaine, Scotty's girlfriend. It was originally written for Shari, but the producers insisted on casting someone else. But she and Lamb Chop were still welcome everywhere, especially public television. Here, Lamb Chop co-hosts a pledge break with writer Jack Larson, an actor best known for playing Jimmy Olsen on the Superman TV show.
And who was Superman? Who was he?
Well, I was never supposed to know who Superman was.
Yeah, but you knew because you saw him in the dressing room and in the men's room and in all the places where humans... You saw him having coffee.
Well, Lamb Chop, you would have known, but my character, Jimmy, was too dumb to know who Superman was.
Yeah, but you're not too dumb to know. Who was he? Come on,
Well, I know I'm too smart even to say who Superman is now.
Yeah.
That's me.
Potty pooper.
In 1981, her father, Abraham Hurwitz, died. The loss shook the family and reminded them of the inspiration he gave them in life.
One of his phrases was, accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. And he lived by those things.
Everybody always laughed at Mother and Daddy. Even Jeremy laughs at their talking to me in non-stop eternal verities, cliches, call them what you will. I was brought up on a steady diet of the day begins the night before. If you can't take it, you can't make it. You are what you eat, and on like that. Well, I live by those.
Then in 1984, Shari had to face a medical crisis of her own. An examination revealed abnormal cells. The tests later confirmed the worst. Shari Lewis had cancer.
As friends and fans mourn the loss of an all-around entertainer, Biography this week remembers Shari Lewis. As generations of Americans mourn the loss of one of their closest childhood friends, Shari Lewis is our biography this week.
Did you hear that man?
What man? The butcher of the Boone Show. Oh, the man from the Lamb Council.
Yeah. Him.
You didn't like it?
Oh, that was heavy.
Heavy, I see. I see.
What are you doing on this show?
Well, I'm going to cook.
You're gonna cook. Cook. What are you gonna cook? What?
Nice dish.
What dish?
Chinese.
Chinese what?
Chinese lamb.
It was very frightening when we found out that Mom had breast cancer. She has always been indomitable.
I think that Shari dealt with her breast cancer in a quintessentially healthy manner, and one that is an example of the best of Shari Lewis.
I made my decision, and then I was calm in pursuing the non-radical line that I pursued.
Every doctor that she saw, she questioned with great care. She decided what was good for Shari and then pursued it with vigor. She put together essentially her own regime and followed it very carefully and has had an extraordinarily good outcome.
It was not a nightmare. It was an experience because I was in control of it. And it's not that I'm a control freak, which may be the case, but it's not relevant to this. I think everybody should stay in control of their body and of what happens to it.
A number of the doctors wanted to be much more radical in their approach than Shari chose to be. That is not the way she would go about doing something, and so she didn't do it. Conceivably, she could have been wrong, but she wasn't.
And what I realized as I watched her go through it and go through the radiation, I would take her every day to the radiation, and then we would go to the Beverly Center and do a little shopping to make ourselves feel better. Until there was the day when we just skipped radiation and just ended up at the Beverly Center. We were halfway through the second floor of Bullock's before we figured it out.
And now, 10 years later, the course that I'm fine, I'm perfect. And the course that we took obviously was the right course. So I feel very gratified by it, you know?
Home video was exploding in the early 1980s, and with it, the market for something that commercial television had abandoned, quality children's programming.
Shari, who was very multimedia, very cutting edge, always ahead of her times, had some concepts for some home videos, had sold them to MGM and asked me to be her writing partner and produce them for her. And they were tough. They were very big shows. You know, we had about $1.75 to produce them with, but they're great. And I'm happy to say they've lasted.
With her videos and a growing series of books, Shari became the favorite of a third generation of viewers. She also continued to be honored with more Emmys, honorary degrees, and White House appearances. As the 1990s unfolded, so did a new chapter in the saga of Shari Lewis and Lamb Chop.
Yeah, it's Lamb Chops, play along. Come join the kids and play along.
It began with a phone call to PBS.
Our conversation was interesting because I kept thinking that, boy, I'm making this so hard, because I was telling her about our limitations and the fact that public television has to operate on such a shoestring. And that Shari, in true Shari Lewis spirit, was saying, that's not a problem. That you use creativity, you use imagination. And that's precisely what she did.
I could spell mousetrap in just 3 letters. Oh, impossible. Oh, yeah? C-A-T. That spells cat. And they trap mouses. Oh, yeah.
Children are very perceptive. They can sort through what is acting and what's real.
I give up. What did one elevator say to the other?
I think I'm coming down with something.
I think I'm coming down with something. Oh, I love it. Mwah.
While it's a children's program, it's also a wonderful series for parenting and for parent education in many ways. And that's one of the ways in which she's updated the program by giving parents tips through the programs of ways in which they can interact with their children.
This is your application.
For what?
Well, it's for your new school.
Oh, for my new school?
Yeah, look. What was that?
I don't want to go to a new school.
Why not?
What's the use?
What do you mean, what's the use? Why does anybody go to a school?
I don't know.
You go to school to get smart and to learn stuff.
I'm never going to be smart. I'm always going to be little and dumb like I am now.
You are not dumb.
I'm D-U-M dumb.
D-U-M-B dumb.
You see?
Lamb Chop's play-along became a public broadcasting sensation, and so did its playfully frustrating musical running joke.
Knock, knock.
Oh, who's there?
Gee, that took a long time. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
The scissors.
The scissors?
The scissors.
The scissors who?
The scissor song that doesn't end.
Okay.
Music goes on and on, my friend.
That's enough, guys.
Some people started singing it, not knowing what it was. And they'll continue singing it forever just because it's...
Well, where did the song that doesn't end come from? I think I would have to say it comes from Nichols Canyon. And why? Because I was driving home one night, and I took a turn off onto Nichols Canyon, and from Hollywood Boulevard to the top of Nichols Canyon is 1.7 miles. I live in that area. Takes you about 10 minutes to navigate. And as I turned onto Nichols Canyon, I heard, "This is the song doesn't end." And where it came from, I don't know. I know that by the time I got up to the top of the hill, there it was. I rushed into the house and I said to everybody, "Watch out, I think I got a good song." I wrote it down, and there it was.
Lamb Chop's play-along led to a growing series of home videos compiled from the TV show.
Shari sits down and she selects themes, and then she'll specially select the segments to go along with those themes, so that the videos that are out in the marketplace are not just episodes taken off of her television show.
Knock, knock. Who's there? Alex. Alex who? I'll explain later. Bye.
Everybody's always said that music is a universal language, and Shari tries to perform through music. And she uses music to teach, and she uses music to expand a child's realm.
You might be a great success. You might do very well. If only you could learn to spell. Charlie Horse, I can't spell. Listen, Lamb Chop. C-A-T spells cat, cat. D-O-G spells dog, dog. H-A-T spells hat, hat. L-O-G spells log.
It's not that they don't challenge the kids, because they do. I mean, she deals with a lot of subjects that are really important in kids' everyday lives. So it's not just the safe stuff. I mean, she gets into interpersonal relationships and sibling rivalry and hurt feelings and all of those other things that a child's world revolves around.
I talk very fast and I play very fast. My clock is fast. You know what's nice? Now, kids want everything to come fast. They grok much more quickly than they used to. They like short modules, and you can talk fast and they're with you. I feel like the kids of America have caught up with me. It's a pleasure.
Knock, knock. Who's there? Woody. Woody who? What do you care who it is?
We get some fan mail that just breaks your heart. Some of it's from people in prison, which kind of breaks your heart because it scares you. But aside from those, and the one man who said, "I know you're my sister and you have the money," and he was in cell block 6. But the emotionally really touching letters we get, one woman wrote in, said that her son was autistic and he was 5 years old and he had never spoken a word. And she came in from having made him breakfast, and he was watching our show, and he turned around and looked at her and pointed at the TV and said, "Mommy, Lamb Chop."
Lamb Chop and Shari Lewis even taught the government how to make children's television act more responsibly.
May Lamb Chop just say a word?
Of course. Of course.
Come on, Lamb Chop.
Why didn't you say so?
She did say so. Where am I?
Well, you're at the FCC.
Oh, how come you're nervous?
I'm not nervous.
Yes, you're nervous.
How can you tell I'm nervous?
Your palm is sweaty.
My palm is not sweaty.
No, the other hand.
Lamb Chop, what would you like to say?
I would like to applaud the FCC for caring about children's television and making it better.
I would like to applaud the FCC too.
No, let me do the applauding.
Why?
Because every time you clap your hands together, I black out.
Okay.
1993 saw the death of Shari's mother following a long illness, but not before she'd seen her daughter reclaim success. It's a success that's made Shari Lewis, after 5 decades, busier and hotter than ever. How she does it is a story in itself.
As generations of Americans mourn the loss of one of their closest childhood friends, Shari Lewis is our biography this week.
Early morning at a Los Angeles television station. The sun is barely up, but Shari is, and ready for a publicity appearance to promote an upcoming TV special.
The day begins the night before. I had to get up this morning to do a local TV show here in Los Angeles. I had to get up at 5:45. I went to bed at 5:45. So I would get 8 hours sleep.
What I want is for the kids to go where I'm going, which is a place where it's cool to be smart, and where it's smart to be classy, and where it's classy to be a doer instead of just a viewer. And I don't think that's too much to do.
In addition to her normal, rigorous schedule, Shari also prepared a full-scale theatrical production called Lamb Chop on Broadway.
She has Lamb Chop, Charlie Horse, Hush Puppy in the show, but she is all those voices, and she has to memorize all those parts. So it's staggering how much she can memorize, but she, as well as she memorizes a script, she memorizes and learns so many things that she reads. And so that is similar to, I guess, goes back to the academics of her mother.
I've been writing some stuff for her. But probably, if I know Shari, what she wants to do is to keep it very secret until such time as she wants to, not be feeding it out in bits and pieces so she can finally bring everybody in and say, hey, Kate, tell me, what do I have here?
This is a one-woman show with a cast of thousands. And there are 3 dancers.
One is a lamb chop.
One is a lamb chop, and one is a
Hush puppy.
Yes. And one is a
Charlie Horse.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. And it's wonderful dancing with lamb chop. I love it.
You missed it all these years.
Yes, I did miss it all these years.
One of the biggest challenges that we've had in the last few years was to take Shari's little pals and blow them up into giant bodysuits that dancers work in. At first we were doing these characters for general personal appearances, and now we're taking our giant lamb chop bodysuits and we're refurbishing them for the Broadway show that Shari is just about to get into.
But whether prepping for Broadway or doing the day-to-day job of preserving one of television's most enduring characters, Shari Lewis shows no signs of rest. After all, she has millions of minds to feed.
I think that Shari Lewis really knows where children are at. She knows the age group she's talking to, and she's an extraordinarily talented performer. When she puts on her puppet gloves, she really becomes the character that she's talking to. But she never loses that sense of what's important to say out loud, what's important to tell kids. And it comes through, and kids relate to it.
I've never wanted to fit in. I've never had any desire to be part of the group. I've always felt that I had to take care of myself, that nobody was going to do anything for me. It makes for a very defensive personality, but it also makes for a survival personality, because the truth is, nobody is going to do it for you if you don't do it for yourself.
I remember, I think it was our first or second job together, and I said to her, what is your goal in this business? And she said, survival. And she has more than survived. She has had this renaissance that is quite magical and quite wonderful.
I'm interested in what people say when people come up to me. I like one-on-one. A lady came up to me the other day and said, are you the original Shari Lewis? And I said to her, yes, I am the original Shari Lewis with most of the original parts.
Shari Lewis beat cancer once, but was unable to do it a second time. In June, she was diagnosed with cancer of the uterus and immediately began chemotherapy. This past Sunday, less than 2 months after her cancer was discovered, she died at age 65. Before being diagnosed, she was working on her latest creation, another kids program called the Charlie Horse Music Pizza, devoted to teaching children the joy of music. In addition to Shari and her old pals, the cast includes actor Dom DeLuise and some new characters. More than 20 episodes have been produced, and they'll air on PBS through the end of the year. Shari Lewis leaves behind her husband Jeremy, daughter Mallory, and her family of characters, Lamb Chop, Charlie Horse, and Hush Puppy. She once said the greatest compliment she ever received was from a parent who said, "Thank you for helping our children stay children a little bit longer." She did it by not acting as a teacher, but as a playmate and friend. Shari Lewis's books, home videos, and television programs ensure that she'll be a playmate and friend to many more generations of children all around the world.
Okay, I get the joke. It, not knowing what it was, and they'll continue singing it forever. I can't believe you guys. The song that does it.
Now you can own a video cassette of this program. Call 1-800-423-1212 and you'll receive the program you've just seen for only $19.95 plus shipping and handling. Call 1-800-423-1212.
This is it.
Now, his movie-making magic has thrilled audiences for a generation. From Jaws to Jurassic Park, it's Steven Spielberg on Biography next on A&E.
Yes, it goes on and on, my friend. This is the song that...
Charlie Horse! No, stop. Charlie, stop. I want you to go away. Go away. And don't slam the door.